Today is January 26, 2021, Arkansas Workforce Development Full Board Meeting.
For our next meeting, before I call the meeting of the Arkansas Workforce Development to order, I'd like to ask the staff to roll call, determine if we have a quorum, and to begin recording the meeting. Board members, please respond present when your name is called. And for proxy representatives, please respond by stating proxy followed by your name. For the record, please hear your board member's name called. Staff.
Mr. Joseph Baxter.
Present.
Mr. Lynn Blaylock.
Present.
Miss Karen Brashears.
Present.
Mr. Lindsey Brown. Mr. Scott Bull.
Present.
Miss Chanda Chacon.
Rebecca, could you adjust your volume? We're hearing some feedback.
Yeah, give me just a moment. Sit on that. Turn it down.
Rebecca, you muted your own screen.
How is that? Does that sound better? It kicked me out again. Yeah, you can. Just unmute and say, and just say, give us just a moment. It kicked us out. Just unmute and say, give us just a moment. It kicked us out.
Give us just a moment, and it kicked us out.
I'm sorry?
Give us just a moment. The computer, it kicked us out. We're logging back in.
Okay. I can move forward with the roll call, Mr. Chairman. Okay.
Bring it over here.
I'll start from the beginning. Mr. Baxter. Present. Thank you, sir. Mr. Lynn Blaylock. Here's Karen. Present.
Present.
Thank you. Mr. Lindsey Brown. Okay, Mr. Scott Bull.
Here.
Yes, sir. Dr. Sharice Childers.
Present.
Thank you, ma'am. Judge Brandon Ellison.
Present.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Randy Kagan.
Present.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Jeff Griffin. Okay. Miss Melissa Hainsworth. Okay. Mr. Randy Henderson.
Present.
Thank you, sir. Miss Abby Houseworth.
Present.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Al Hughes. Miss Rebecca Pye. Mr. Charles Johnson.
Present.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Johnny Key. Miss Candace Lawrence.
Present.
Thank you, ma'am. Miss Holly Little. Miss Holly Little. Dr. Maria Markham. Mr. Brian Marsh. Mr. Brian Marsh.
Present.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Trina Miles.
Present.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. George Nunnally.
Present.
Thank you, sir. Secretary Mike Preston.
Steve Starks, prosecutor Mike Preston.
Casey, thank you, sir. Dr. Julie Roberson.
Present.
Thank you. Mayor James Sanders.
Present.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kelly Sharp.
Present.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Cassandra Williams Stokes, she notified us that she would not be at the meeting today. Is there a proxy for Dr. Cassandra Williams Stokes?
This is Betsy Bond. I'm filling in for her. I'm assistant director.
All right. Thank you, Betsy. How you doing?
Just fine, thank you.
Mr. Robert Thorne.
Present.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Dr. Diana Wright.
Present.
Hello. Thank you. Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum, sir.
Thank you, Elroy. Now that you've confirmed that you have a quorum, I'd like to call this full board meeting of the Arkansas Workforce Development Board for the 26th day of January 2021 at 10:47. I ask that each person participating on this call please check and mute their telephones or their computer when they're not speaking to prevent interrupting background noise. Also, please make sure to mute your computer, as I said, if you're attending to the computer. For the record, the One Stop Center certification document that was tabled in our previous meeting for April, July, and October with COVID is going to be tabled also for today's meeting. I'd like to welcome the public who is listening to the meeting remotely, and an opportunity will be given for the public attending to address the board at the end of the meeting and announcements. This time, please welcome the Arkansas Workforce Development Board Director Marnell Willis to address our board members and guests.
Good morning, Chairman Addison, board members, and guests. As some of you may know, I have retired as the director of the state board. I have really enjoyed my time serving this board and am pleased with the progress that we have made in the ongoing development of the state's workforce system. Believe me, I will miss all of you, and please know that it was a pleasure to serve as your board's director. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Director Willis. You'll be missed also, and I hope that when we get a chance to come back and convene in person, you'll come back to our meeting and let us congratulate you on your retirement as we should.
Will do, sir. Thank you very much.
We wish you and your family the best in your retirement.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I want to read a letter from board member Lynn Blaylock to the Southeast Arkansas Workforce Center staff. And I've asked Rebecca to send that out because of time. So I think all of you should get a copy of that. But I believe we have Ms. Joe Keegan and Ms. Nancy Jones on the phone, and I'd like to extend an opportunity for them to speak if they're on the phone. Okay, I don't think they are, but you'll get a copy of Lynn Blaylock's, board member Lynn Blaylock's letter to them, congratulating them on such a great job during 20 and 21 and 19, and you'll see what a great job they've been doing, and I'd like to congratulate them and also thank Lynn Blaylock for sending that letter to them. Now I'd like to draw your attention to agenda item number 1, to find the minutes of the October 20th, 2020 meeting to review and approve. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Please state your name for the record.
This is Karen Brashears. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Okay, the motion again.
I've already on the agenda.
Robert, make that second.
Thank you very much. Now I'll ask the staff to make the roll call to record your vote for the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Joseph Baxter.
Aye.
Mr. Lynn Blaylock.
Aye.
Ms. Karen Brashears. Mr. Lindsey Brown.
Go back to
Mr.
your
Scott
call. We all know.
Aye.
Dr. Sharice Childers.
Aye.
It kicked me out. It keeps kicking me out. They just don't.
Y'all know the local area people on there, because they asking.
Okay. Let me send Chris a text.
Aye.
Mr. Alan Hughes. Ms. Rebecca Hyde. Mr. Charles Johnson. Mr. Charles Johnson. Mr. Johnny King. Ms. Candace Lawrence.
Aye.
Ms. Holly Little. Dr. Maria Markham. Mr. Brian Marsh. Aye. Dr. Trina Miles.
Aye.
Mr. George Nunnally. Aye. Secretary Preston. Aye. Dr. Julie Roberson.
Aye.
Mayor James Sanders. Aye. Mr. Kelly Sharp. Aye. Dr. Cassandra Williams Stokes.
Aye.
Mr. Robert Thorne. Aye. Dr. Diana Wright.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Elroy. The motion carries. Next, I'd like to draw your attention to agenda item number 2, which is the council resolution 2021-1 for the payment of stipends. Arkansas law allows boards to pay stipends of $110 to those non-governmental employees who choose to accept them. However, a council resolution must be approved by the board during the first meeting of each calendar year. Do I hear a motion to approve the council resolution 2021-1?
So moved by Kelly Sharp.
Seconded by Karen Bashir.
Motion has been made, seconded now. I'll ask the staff to do a roll call to record your vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had to pull myself off the mute. I apologize for the delay. Mr. Joseph Baxter.
Aye.
Mr. Lynn Blaylock.
Aye.
Ms. Karen Bashir.
Aye.
Mr. Lindsey Brown. Mr. Scott Bull.
Aye.
Dr. Sharice Children.
Aye.
Judge Brandon Ellison.
Aye.
Mr. Randy Finnegan.
Aye.
Mr. Jeff Griffin. Ms. Melissa Hainsworth. Mr. Randy Henderson.
Aye.
Ms. Abby Houseman.
Aye.
Mr. Alan Hughes. Ms. Rebecca Ives. Mr. Charles Johnson.
Aye.
Mr. Johnny King. Ms. Candace Lawrence.
Aye.
Ms. Holly Little. Dr. Maria Markham. Mr. Brian Marsh.
Aye.
Dr. Trina Miles.
Aye.
Mr. George Nunnally.
Aye.
Secretary Mike Preston.
Aye.
Dr. Julie Roberson.
Aye.
Mayor James Sanders.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly Sharp.
Aye.
Dr. Cassandra Williams Stokes.
Aye.
Mr. Robert Thorne.
Aye.
Dr. Diana Wright.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Elroy. The vote carries unanimously. We'll now move to the reports. I've been, because of COVID, obviously, most of the time, most of the meetings have been via Zoom or go to meeting, and I've attended a couple of those during the past quarter. Our chairs and our liaisons are going to meet in March as far as the state chairs. We're going to do that via Zoom. And last year I was appointed to a committee called the WEAC Committee, and it's we report to the Secretary of Labor. Basically, it deals with the Bureau of Labor Statistics that each state submits to the Department of Labor. And I've been on that committee. We had several meetings back in December, several 3-day full meetings via Zoom. And I can tell you, sitting through a full-day Zoom meeting for 3 days is lengthy. But we're on track, and we're trying to make some recommendations to our new Secretary of Labor. That's going to be more to come on that at our next meeting. Next, we'll hear from our Division of Workforce Services Director, Dr. Sharice Joseph, for the Director. Dr. Childers. Okay, we may have gotten tied up. Let's defer that to later. I may ask Savannah and Mr. Chris Jones from the Division of Workforce Services to present the report of the staff to the full board.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
this is Sharice Childers. I'm sorry, I could not get my screen pulled up in order to unmute myself.
That's okay. We'll go ahead and go with your report.
Okay,
Dr.
thank you.
Childers.
Thank you, and then Chris can follow. Thank you very much. I'll make this short in order to make up some time this morning. I appreciate the opportunity to provide all of you with information. As far as the Division of Workforce Services, I will first cover the legislation that we have that is being considered before the General Assembly, some of which has been filed, some of which has not yet been filed. That is with the Bureau of Legislative Research. For the Division of Workforce Services, the Legacy Division of Workforce Services, we have 4 bills that are being considered, specific amendments, or 3 specific to unemployment, and then 1 regarding the confidentiality law. Then we also have a bill that will be considered that is for TANF specific and our work pace program. I'll be glad to share with any of you that are interested the bill numbers and the information specific to those bills. But to keep things going this morning, I will not go into the detail for each of those. We also have bills that are being considered for Arkansas Rehabilitation Services. There are 2 bills that we have that have been filed for rehabilitation services. One of those is a bill it's an amendment for the forgiveness of student loans under the Arkansas Rehabilitation Services Forgiveness of Student Loan Program. And the second one that is actually been filed and will be heard, I believe this one is tomorrow morning. This bill is a bill to in regards to the Telecommunications Access Program, and this will allow more revenue to build up for IRS in that program on the surcharge for that. This charge that will assist in the Telecommunications Access Program. Obviously, we're following numerous other bills and also watching our appropriation bills as well. Some of you may have already seen the news release. Arkansas's unemployment rate falls to 4.2% in December. So that's down from 6.3% in November. Our civilian labor workforce increased 38,104 as a result of 65,543 more employed and 26,639 fewer unemployed Arkansans. The United States job rate held steady at 6.7% for November and December. So just in the civilian labor force and employment, we are down from December of 2019 by 12,396. And we are seeing more people unemployed from December 2019 to December 2020. But we are seeing significant gains in several categories. Again, if you need that information, I'll be glad to share it with you, or if you'd like more detail.
I have both.
As most of you are aware, there were 4
a meeting
changes
on the
to,
phone.
and a new program added to unemployment programs
So
with
I had
the
it.
Continued Assistance Act for Unemployed Workers for Act of 2020. This included the reinstatement of the federal pandemic unemployment compensation, which is an additional $300 weekly
I mean, usually,
benefit to
I've
eligible
even,
claimants.
like the
Pandemic
signature days
unemployment
when I'm over
assistance
at
was
the conference
extended. It
table.
was to end on did end on December 26th, so we have an extension for that program through March the
That's
13th.
what I thought too.
The FFUD $300 that I just mentioned is also extended to March 13th.
Okay.
Pandemic emergency unemployment compensation, PEC, additional weeks were added there, and also will be in March 13th. And then a new program called Mixed Earners Unemployment Compensation, which adds $100 in additional benefits to certain individuals with self-employment income that are currently receiving regular unemployment. So we have all of the FPAC and the PUC in place. Those two were not as difficult because there were not as many changes to those. The PUA now requires additional documentation and proof of identity. So we're working on that with the implementation or to be in production on February the 8th. And then the Mixed Earners Unemployment Compensation, we're working on the details of that program as it will be administered by our local office. And we expect that to be mid-February. We're happy to report that unemployment claims have dropped to 4,079 as of 1/16, January 16th, which is still higher than we had last year at this time, which was 1,804, but significantly less than our all-time high.
I'll undo it and restart it. Also, there's a note. Joe Baxter and Christy wants to go first. We can talk about paperwork last, I guess. It's no big deal. She's got a meeting at 11:30. So I'm going to take care of that. If you can take care of this part of it, and just push paperwork to the end of the agenda.
Obviously, we're excited about working with employers through virtual job fairs and also re-engaging our mobile units as we are doing those safely throughout the state. Being aware that employers are hiring, and we are excited to assist several new employers in the coming months as they're hiring new employees across the state. So that's encouraging to see that picking back up. Also, I'd like to mention a program called Reskill Arkansas, which is an initiative that we worked with the Office of Skills Development to develop. It is a program that's specifically focused on those that are unemployed, and we're working with those individuals in participation in an IT program, and then hope to roll out the same programming in the manufacturing sector, so it allows them to participate in training in lieu of doing their work search, and hopefully will lead to a job. That's called Reskill Arkansas. The initiative you may have heard recently, the governor announced it on the 13th of January, is the Ready for Life initiative. And this is an initiative where we have partnered with the Department of Ed and the State Chamber of Commerce, AEDC, and other agencies within the Department of Ed, including the institutions of higher education. And this is to improve the skills or change careers, those that are interested in improving their skills or changing careers. And we have a multitude of programs that are being offered for education and employment readiness for these individuals. And that initiative is also supported by $14.7 million from the federal government and federal governor's emergency education relief funds. And that's called Ready for Life. A program that we just completed the first run of and the pilot was with the Forge Institute, and this was for TANF recipients, and it was called the IT Cyber Fundamentals course. And we just completed the certificate ceremony for those individuals that completed that program. This program started off with approximately 100 individuals interested, narrowed that down to 50, and remember correctly, we ended up with, excuse me, let me find my notes here. I apologize for the delay. 18 individuals from 12 counties across Arkansas that participated in the 7-week Cyber Fundamentals IT course. And this program and the other programs I mentioned we have strong engagement from our employers that have an interest in hiring individuals with those skill sets. So I'm happy to report that not only are we tackling the day-to-day unemployment insurance programs and doing our best to stay on top of the needs of our citizens and supporting the employers, we're also excited to say that we're embracing new ways of training and engaging individuals that are unemployed or are looking to increase their skills in order to move into other areas that will provide them with an increase in wages and opportunity. Before I end, I'd like to bring to everyone's attention the promotion of Chris Jones. When we did our agenda, Chris was still in the position of the Assistant Director and under Employment Assistance, but has been selected as the Assistant Director for the Office of Financial Management. Our CFO left at the end of the year, and I can't remember if we discussed that at our last meeting, but after serving 32 years with our agency, so we are excited about Chris's this new opportunity for Chris, and also we appreciate Brian's commitment to our agency and the work that he did over many, many, many years. So thank you, Chris, and thank you, Chairman Anderson, for giving me the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you, Dr. Childers, and congratulations, Chris. We'll turn it over to you now for the staff report.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate that. When I first came on board in EA, employment assistance, I mentioned that I started in fiscal. Feels like I'm going home, but leaving home empty. And I really appreciate the opportunity to try to do some of the work that we've done over the last 3 years. I was going to run down that list real quick and thank the staff for helping with rollout of work-based learning, virtual job fairs. We're exploring TANF funded those local board operated grants, which is something we've done before, but we're really trying to open that up. Most recently, with the non-recurring short-term benefits program, which I think was very successful in shoring up a gap in the CARES Act. What I actually did was in the executive order for the president, and we were able to get some benefits to folks whose moms getting $100 in benefits each week. A lot of people who needed assistance, we were able to kind of coordinate that with the TANF program and bridge that gap. A lot of progress on longitudinal databases that does tie to the Ready for Life project that we mentioned minutes ago. So a lot of good work. I'm proud to be a part of it, and we'll be able to continue supporting both the board and those operational pieces at DWS just from the fiscal perspective, and I'll still do the joint meetings. So with that said, I've got some updates on the evaluation later in the meeting, and that was the main thing I wanted to focus on today. So I'll hold that for later. Thank you, Chair. If there are any questions, please let me know.
Are there any questions or comments for Mr. Jones? Okay, thank you. Next, I'd like to move to administrative forms for this agenda. This is item 3 on the agenda book. I'd like to ask Ms. Rebecca Edwards to address the try to get their speakers back up.
Thank you, Chair Anderson. Could we move, I would like to ask if we could move that later at the end of the agenda. Specifically, Mr. Baxter asked if we could allow Ms. Christy Lamas to go ahead and present. She has another meeting at 11:30.
We can do that. Hey, let's move on to agenda.
Mr. Chair, sir.
Yes.
This is Elroy. I don't know if you can understand Rebecca, but Ms. Christy Lamas would like to go first. She has another meeting to go to on this agenda item. If you would allow her, sir.
Absolutely. We had updates for our narrative for 19 EO program annual report in our last meeting on October the 20th. We heard from the court department on their program-specific activities. Today, board members will hear updates on each of their performance. Their activities that were submitted to the U.S. Department of Labor on November 25th, 2020. We'll get that started. I'd also like to say that hit the high point and move forward, that would be appreciated. So we'll go ahead and get started.
Roy, if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and I'll steer on the annual state lab report. If you just direct me to where we're going, I'll let you run through the performance measures for Title I.
Chris?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. We were going to let Christy go first.
Oh, I thought we were just jumping ahead. I'm sorry, Christy. Go ahead, and I'm going to try to find the page that you're on.
Yes, sir. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and the committee. I have a report regarding narrative report for Arkansas Rehabilitation Services in that, just to make sure that we're aware of time. I'll summarize. The mission of ARS is to prepare Arkansans with disabilities to work in a productive and independent lives. Our year-end narrative summary highlights real people that we supported through medical needs, technology support, training to learn new skills. A combination of all the supports and services of ARS is what makes the agency successful. I do have a PowerPoint. I can send it later so you can browse through it at your leisure. Or if someone hits share screen simultaneous, I can share mine right quick.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Arkansas Rehab's largest section is field services. I've got two ladies that I'd like to highlight and tell the group about. One is Miss Sarah Murphy. She's from Conway. Sarah had to have spinal surgery, and she had to be retrained. So in order to do this, ARS counselors, the access and accommodation section, a variety of medical doctors have come together and worked with her for several years in order for her to be successful. ARS served her since 2004. Now she's an elementary school teacher. She works from Bologna. She has a true calling, a viable career, and she is not someone that we anticipate will be returning to ARS to get employment. Ms. Tanya Mays is in a similar situation. She was laid off recently due to COVID. She has functional limitations due to her disability in a variety of medical areas, so she needed retraining. She went through the medical training, moved up from CNA to phlebotomist, and now she's working in a field where there's high demand. There's always going to be a need for that. Don't think she will have to look at facing layoffs anytime soon. One of our areas is the Arkansas Career Development Center. It supports field services along with our accommodation professions. They've added a few new programs this year we wanted you to know about. They have a virtual security class now that's being offered that's being reviewed and approved by state police. They are doing virtual driver's education. And they're also providing direct services to other programs that work throughout the field. We have high school programs that work in the summer that bring high school students together so they can learn and gain certification. So what ACDC is doing now is providing virtual CNA, OSHA, CPR. They're doing on-site full-fledged, so to say, virtual professional desk training programs to support ARS clients as a whole. One of these people that we'd like to highlight is Mr. Anthony Walker. He worked with ACDC. He worked with our transition program known as Project Search through Washita County Medical Center. Anthony had a variety of issues, touched his mental health, his physical health, his ability to get to and from work, multiple barriers, transition services, field services, and access and accommodation all had to come together to support him. He's now working. He now has the driver's license, and he's well on his way to deciding what his next steps in his adult life are going to be. ARS has a section known as business engagement. Business engagement moves out and works with businesses, telling them the mission of ARS, making sure that we're connected long before our clients ever walk through their door. Building that collaboration takes a lot of time, a lot of consideration. They hosted a human resources management conference, which included 100 HR managers. This happened right before COVID in the month of February. And everyone who participated heard the message loud and clear. They understand that we're here, we're ready, and we want to not only put people to work that aren't working, but help them keep people in jobs that are currently working for them. There's a lady, her name is Miss Carol McDiernan. She works with DWS. She is a manager, and she's also a stay-at-work program participant for Arkansas Rehab Services. She had some occupational therapy needs, and she was able to get some assistive technology, software, and a keyboard, and an ergonomic assessment. The types of things that ARS can provide above and beyond what you can Google on the internet, that helped her be able to do her job, a very important job, with DWS from her home for the time that she needed to. I do have a website. Our Arkansas Rehabilitation Services website houses a variety of videos and essays, information from students that are in high school with disabilities, where they researched and participated in a career competition. And I was going to show you all one of those videos. When we send out the PowerPoint, you can take a look at that. These students learned about careers, what it would take to get into a particular field, and how they wanted to go about doing it, what their game plan was, what their career pathway would be once they left high school and moved into training and post-secondary. Very exciting. They have some very creative kids, and the variety of careers that they wanted to get into is beyond my comprehension. The young man that I was highlighting wanted to be a chef, and his video is well thought out and narrated, and he did an excellent job. We will work with these students when they start high school in about the 10th grade. So by the time they get ready to graduate, they know what training program they need to be in. They've already had some work experience in that field in the event that it is really not what they thought it was, so they can switch gears and get into something that would be a better fit. This has been since 2017, and we have seen, as I said in our last report, over 51% of the people we serve are between the ages of 16 and 24. They really do engage with us and want to be in the workforce. The final thought I'd like to leave everyone with as far as Arkansas rehabilitation is concerned, we really are embracing the team approach. Most of the time people come to us when they've tried everything else to get or keep a job and nothing's worked for them. It takes the involvement of all of our sections to see these cases through. The engagement with the employers and the business engagement team to build that foundation, the hands-on assistance, like with Return to Work, with Ms. McDermott, the technological expertise of doctors, psychologists, and occupational therapists, and the professional one-on-one coaching of the field service counselors. All this must culminate to see our clients get to successful employment. We served 12,159 Arkansans with disabilities last year through complex barriers to employment. We intend to connect closer with our WIOA partners in the coming year to make meaningful careers a reality for more Arkansans with disabilities. That concludes my report, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, Christy.
Thank you, sir.
Who's up next?
Mr. Chair, we allow Dr. Trina Miles. She has slides if someone can pull those up.
Well, actually, I have, just let me share the screen, if you don't mind, Elroy.
You should be able to, Dr. Miles.
Okay. So I think you have to stop sharing. I tried it. You stop sharing, and then I can.
Let's see if I can.
Okay.
Dr. Miles, that should work.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, are you guys able to see it? The PowerPoint, the slides?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Okay, my name is Trina Miles, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Adult Education Section Director under Dr. Sharice Childers for the Arkansas Division of Workforce Services. And so I'm going to go through these slides rather quickly just for time purposes. So the first thing I want to give you guys an update is that we have an Adult Education podcast that is nationwide now. And so two of our team members, Dan Bigelow, which is to my left, and John Lee, which is to your right, I'm saying this, show my notes. Okay, so okay, you guys able to see it? Okay, so Dan Bigelow and John Lee, Dan is to your left and John is to your right. So they did some research trying to find some issues or some sites that would have some information on adult education, and we're not able to find it. So we decided to create our own podcast. And so you can follow us on our website. We have iTunes, they're on Spotify. We're also on Twitter as well as Facebook. And thus far, they've created over 20 podcasts and have interviewed college presidents, we have interviewed teachers, so forth, and directors statewide, as well as students and state staff. One of the things that we have in our program is called Wages Workforce for Alliance for Growth and Economy. And it's a trademark program that was launched in 1994 with the Adult Education Division at the time. Now, WAGE is a workforce training and development program for unemployed and underemployed adults. And within the wage program, students were able to gain like 6 certificates. We had a bank teller, a customer service 1 and 2, an industrial certificate, an office technology, and employability skills. And what makes wage different and unique is not only are we training individuals for job skills and helping them to improve their job outlook, but we also have a focus on academics because we are an educational entity. Last year we served over 20,000 students, and about 80% of those students that come into our center function below the 8th grade level. So when you're thinking about trying to get these students into some job training programs or into college in which textbooks are written on a 16th grade level, you can see that many students struggle and are very seldom successful. So one of the things that we realize is that in order to be able to assist these students, that they have to improve their foundational skills of academics. And we can do it concurrently. It doesn't have to be sequentially, and we've been able to be successful because of that. So there are 2 types of level certificates that a student can get. The first one is a wage level 1 certificate, and this is a basic certificate that every student is eligible for. So one component of it is a basic skills instruction. So when a student comes in, we give them a test for their basic education, which pretty much lets us know what their educational or entry and functional level is. And from there, we provide the instruction to help them improve their academics. There's also a career exploration. So each of our ed centers has a career coach whose job is designed to assist students with job search skills, resume building. We also help them with mock interviews and apply for jobs. And for those individuals who are interested in transitioning into the trade industry or into post-secondary education, we also help and connect them to colleges and help them complete their financial aid application as well as their admissions application. And helping them to explore and find schools that have their career that they're interested in going in. So part of the career exploration is also helping those students identify a career pathway. So although a student may come in wanting to do a CNA, then what's the next step after that? So we help them with LPNs, RNs, and we help them to figure out where these entities are so that they can continue their education. The other 3 areas are our central or soft skills. We have financial literacy, digital literacy, and workforce preparation. If you notice at the bottom, we have essential education and Aztec software. These are academic software programs that we purchase as a state for use by students. And the good thing about all of this is that it can all be done online. So a student does not even have to come to the ed center if they don't want to. They can register and do the intake form, and then we can connect them through Zoom and then put them on these different software programs. The level 2 certificate. Now, the level 2 certificate is a lot more advanced, and a student has to get to a certain academic level in order to actually qualify for the level 2 certificate or actually be enrolled in the program. So one of the reasons that we revamp or restructure wage, which I just said at the beginning, is because the system has not had an overtaken or overhaul, I guess, since 1994. So one of the things we did was we looked at the needs of the business industry, we looked at the state plan, the local workforce development plan, and we looked at the labor market information for Arkansas to determine which types of jobs are going to be in demand in the future. So the 5 that we came up with as a cluster were manufacturing, health science, business management administration, hospitality and tourism, and education and training. For the business management administration, we're actually on administrative support, and these are the textbooks that we're utilizing in all of the ed programs across the state. Prior to this, we didn't really have a strong standardization within the wage program, so now we're all using the same textbooks. And what's really good about these textbooks are that not only are students learning academics like reading, language, and arts, as well as science and math, but they're able to learn it contextually, so they're able to learn more about the manufacturing field while they're also increasing their academics. We chose education and training because every county in Arkansas has a school. And with that being said, many students, some of our students are interested in being a paraprofessional going into the school, so we chose that track. Health science, of course, CNA and emergency medical response, the emergency medical response program. We have several programs in the state that are now offering these entry-level opportunities for our ed students. And then hospitality and tourism, we know that right now during the pandemic, we've not seen a strong increase in tourism, but we expect that to happen probably in the next couple of months or next year. Definitely we have these casinos. So we're trying to actually get students ready for the jobs that we know that are here, but also those that are going to be in strong demand in the next couple of months. And then, of course, manufacturing is for production. Within the wage to level certificates, similar to what Chris mentioned earlier, we're also coupling the wage certificate too with these industry-related credentials, the OSHA 10, the first aid, CPR, and service aid and forklift. But there are other online certifications that we're also doing as well that's not included on this PowerPoint. So the next couple of slides, I want to highlight a couple of our adult education providers and what they're doing in the state. Now, the first one I want to highlight is the Northwest Technical Institute Adult Education Program, NTI, that's in Springdale, Arkansas. And since about spring 2019, the adult ed program has, we've had 9 classes, CNA classes that we've actually done. And we had 78 students enrolled in CNA classes. The number of students that made an educational gain was 28 or 36%, and then the number of certification achievers was 68% or 53%. Now, I will say NTI, the ed program, has one of our highest percentage of ESL students. So when we're talking about EFL increases and students trying to also achieve a certification, the challenge that some of the times our non-native speakers face is the fact that they don't know English, and they're trying to learn English while trying to learn a trade at the same time. But we're definitely excited about some of the opportunities that they're doing. Our next program is Fort Smith Adult Ed Program. And some of the partnerships, they just received a PAC grant from NHS to serve incarcerated women at the local jail. So they have 12 women that are going through this program. And these women are currently, of course, in prison. But while they're in prison, we're providing basic academic skills classes. We're providing parenting classes because most or all of these women are parents. And when they're released, they're going to, need some skills when they go back to work. And we also provide them some workforce development training. Walmart just recently donated to the program $12,000 to assist these women. And once these women finish going through this program, Walmart has promised them a job. So we're very excited about that. Now, one of the things that the program is doing prior to these individuals being released is that they're making sure that these women are signed up for TANF or SNAP and ENT service to help them continue their transition so they're able to financially be able to get into the workforce and not have to have public assistance at all. And then lastly, partner with the Fort Smith School District. One of the things that the school district during this pandemic crisis is, I said that 80% of our students coming in functioning below the 8th grade. So when you have a pandemic and students all of a sudden having to go online, you have parents who either A, do not have the academic background to be able to assist their students, or B, do not have the technological background to be able to assist their students. But one of the things that the Fort Smith Adult Ed program did was not only offer tutorial classes, but they also provided basic skills in digital literacy to these parents as well. Our other program, UAME, Adult Education Program, they had formed a partnership with the Simmons Bank in Monticello, Arkansas, and Simmons Bank gave them a $2,500 check for grant to support workforce development. And this money will also be used to offset the cost of the GED scholarships because although the state subsidized 80% of the GED test, the students still are responsible for paying $4 per section of the test. There are 4 sections. But it's also used to provide short-term training programs as well. And then one of the last providers I want to focus on is SAU Tech Adult Education. This is a recent class from November 2nd to December 17th. and they had a CNA class, and they had 11 graduates, and out of those graduates, 7 of those individuals were TANF clients, and again, when students are actually going through a workforce development program through ADUET, not only are we helping them with workforce training, but we're also helping them with the academic portion, because it's important for them to be successful in passing those certification exams. So 6 of those 7 students actually made an education gain, and they received the OSHA 10, all of them received the OSHA 10 in general health care credential, and 6 of them are currently employed. Now, one of the things about a good education is that we can't do any of this alone. We can provide the academic instruction, and we can provide the workforce preparation. But when it comes to the actual workforce training, then that's when we work with our community colleges as well as some of the local eligible training providers to provide their service. But the other issue that we come into is how do we pay for the cost for these students? Because these students do not have a high school diploma, they do not qualify for financial aid. So we have to figure out how do we pay for these training programs. So our partners have been very instrumental in making this happen. So SAU Tech, the college itself allows the ADUET program to utilize the classroom as well as the simulation lab for the students to practice. TANF, we have a support. We have a contract with TANF, and so TANF is excellent for providing these support services so these students were able to get gas cards to come back and forth to class, scrubs, as well as the certification exam fees. The Career Pathways Initiative, they provided extended support for the students in daycare. One of the things that this provider ran into down in Magnolia and Camden area is the fact that all of the daycares were open during the day. So if classes were being offered at night by the college, then some of these students, it was a barrier. They weren't able to participate. Well, luckily we found one daycare that actually offered classes at night. So some young ladies who were not able to participate in an earlier class were able to participate most recently. The Pine Hills Rehab Center, they actually hire 3 students after the end of the class. Usually the instructor they give is usually someone from a nursing home or someone from a hospital who has an opportunity to learn the work ethics of the students and build a relationship. And then once the students complete the class and pass the certification exam, oftentimes they'll hire them. The Wentworth Nursing Program, like prior to COVID, they served as a clinical site for SAU ADUET. They conducted the background checks as well as administered the TB screenings. And usually they typically hire our students, but because of COVID and everything, they weren't able to get into this particular class. And then the Title I-B adult programs, they were able to provide costs for schools for students who didn't meet qualifications. So this is one example of why it's really important under WLA, especially our real executive committee as well as the board, that we work together for greater funding. Because again, if I'm not able to pay tuition, then what we try to do is if a student qualifies for TANF, or SNAP, or CPI, or rehab services, are usually programs that can pay for tuition. So that's all I have. Unless you guys have some questions, I'm about to stop sharing the screen.
Dr. Miles? Program.
The typical age of the people in our program is really like ages between ages 25 to 44.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Sorry, with that fast. We're trying to catch the time, so thank you.
Are students with GEDs able to get their federal aid?
So if they don't have a high school diploma, like right now there's a program called Ability to Benefit, which allows community colleges to, right now, to my knowledge, we don't have any colleges, maybe shorter colleges, I think they're in the process of trying to get that actually offer this program. So most students aren't able to participate at a
Stokes asked that she be allowed to present at the upcoming board meeting as she was on leave today. So with your permission, she would like to present at the next meeting if possible.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Well, the next would be Mr. Chris Jones, sir.
Okay, Chris?
Chris may be having some difficulties. If you don't mind, Mr. Chair, very briefly, what we were going to share with the board today for Titles 1 and 3, we have shared with the board throughout the program year some of the various activities that have been going on in our program. In the interest of time, I just wanted to briefly mention or reiterate that for Titles 1 and Title 3, the state met all of our performance goals, and one of the things that we have been, one of the questions most states have been asking the Department of Labor, what impact will the COVID-19 pandemic have on performance? The answer is, for PY19, none at all. As you can see on the screen, if you will look up, for instance, let's take the youth chart at the top, and if you start reading from left to right, and if you 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth column, you'll see placement rate Q2. If you look down, you'll see cohort period, and you will see July 1 of 18, June 30 of 19. Okay, that is the time frame of the participants who were included in the performance for PY19. It ended June 30 of 2019, so it had no impact for the previous program year. However, we will begin to see some impact in PY20, which ends on June 30 of this year, June 30 of 2021. What we don't know at this time, what USDOL will be allowed to do as far as giving states a little bit of a flexibility. Right now, all they're saying is, due to statutes, they can't really change anything, but statutes allow there will be no financial sanctions for any states that don't meet their performance for the current program year that ends June 30th, 2020. So we'll wait and see. We'll take a wait-and-see approach. But the good news is right now there's no penalties for the states if you miss your performance for PY20. And with that, I'll take any questions, Mr. Chair.
Are there any questions of Elroy?
Elroy, thanks for covering. The mute button was grayed out and it wasn't clicking for me, so I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Elroy. Okay, Chris.
All right. And Chair, I'm going to get back to the agenda items real quick. I think the next thing, because Cassandra asked to report out in the next meeting, if that, with your permission, we should be able to move to Reimagine.
To which one? Oh, okay.
Item 5.
Okay. All right, for the next agenda item, it's agenda item 5. The Arkansas Workforce Development Board applied for funding under the CARES Act from the U.S. Department of Education, and Arkansas was one of 8 states to receive funding through this initiative. In our October 20th board meeting, board members had the opportunity to hear from the training providers for the grant, which are the University of Arkansas Global Campus and Shorter College. With us today, we have the ADWS regulatory specialist, Mr. Eduardo Lim, to provide a brief update to the full board. Eduardo.
Thank you, Chairman Anderson. And just like Dr. Childress mentioned earlier, we are embracing new ways for training, and another program that we have is the Arkansas Reimagine Workforce Preparation Grant that was awarded by the U.S. Department of Education, Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education. And like you mentioned, under this grant, was under the CARES Act grant, we were one of 8 states to be awarded this grant of $13.5 million. And of course, as you can read, I'm not going to read everything that is on the agenda, but over $10 million is going to be awarded to the University of Arkansas, and 3.1 to Shorter College. Right now, the budget was approved in late December, and the sub-awards have been given to the U of A and to Shorter College for their review and their signature. And we are expecting this week to get those sub-awards signed, and we can go forward. We are expecting to start enrolling clients in March, and by April we should have some already enrolled in the program. Let's see. That's just where we are right now. We also are preparing a press release for the governor's office. We may be sending that press release today so they can review it. If they decide that they don't want to do a press release, then ADWS will do a press release, and then we will let Shorter and U of A do their own press release. I believe that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Are there any questions from Mr. Lynn?
I just have one question. I guess it may be more of curiosity. Two questions actually. Was there any type of matrix used to determine how much will go to which university? And is there anything assuring that either one of these universities or colleges would have participants to be able to effectively use this money?
And if you don't mind me helping,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So whenever we were drafting the award, we took kind of as the pass-through, we took an application approach to it. So both Global Campus and Shorter in the original application had drafted budgets and proposed statements of work that was in the original application to the Department of Education. Over the last couple of months, they had awarded the grant to us conditional, and the condition on some cleanup in the budgets and in the statement of work to make sure that we were all on the same page, and there were some lines that needed to be shifted to tuition, or I think there were some other changes that they recommended around the indirect cost rates. And so it basically what drove the numbers was the statement of work they proposed, and then it was adjusted based on the feedback from our federal project officer. As far as ensuring that there's going to be participants, both colleges have connected with PNF programs and other pipelines. Shorter is focused on TANF eligibles. The Global Campus is kind of a broader approach. They're taking a broader approach to outreach.
Okay, thank you. Does that answer your question, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Moving to agenda item 6, we'll hear from board staff. Mr. Chris Jones regarding the workforce system evaluation project update. States must use funds reserved by the governor for statewide activities to conduct evaluations of activities under the WIOA Title I core programs in order to promote continuous improvement research and test innovative services and strategies, and to achieve high levels of performance and outcomes. To carry out this requirement of federal regulation, a contract was entered into between ADWS and the University of Arkansas. Mr. Jones will give us an update.
Thank you, Chair. Under the contract with the U of A, they were asked to do several evaluation and asset mapping projects under the contract, all intended to kind of double back on our certification processes. All workforce centers have to be evaluated by the local board and approved by the local board as meeting certain standards. We're taking a look at that to make sure that it does meet our policies and federal requirements. asset mapping, looking for local resources, and studying outreach efforts, doing surveys for both employers and participants. So where we are at on all of that, Central, Northeast, Northwest, and Western has started the asset mapping process. They've also done the surveys to the participants and the employers now and are analyzing that information. We should have feedback on that sometime in February. The skills gap analysis that they're doing just in the local areas that were selected are focused on reaching out to employers and working with the employers specifically to analyze what skill sets are missing. And 6 centers have been identified regarding compliance with the certification. Nina, Conway, Russellville, Searcy, Hot Springs, and Arkadelphia. 5 have been worked through, completed the questionnaires, still working the 6. But we expect to get that done sometime in February as well. There's still some work to do on the asset mapping and pulling all the results together. The report isn't, due to COVID, expected by June, which was the original deadline. It may be further in the year, next program year, before we get the final report, but we should have draft reports by the end of the program year. So sometime in June we should have a draft with the final following.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Jones. Are there any questions? Okay, as public servants and representatives of our communities across the state, the Arkansas Workforce Development Board is committed to maintaining the highest standards of ethical conduct. With us today, we have the Division of Workforce Services Policy Specialist, Dr. Claudia Griffin, to present these standards in accordance with the federal and state laws and regulations. Dr. Griffin?
Thank you, Chairman Anderson. Elroy, do you want me to share my screen or do you want to share the PowerPoint?
If you don't mind grabbing the screen, I'll go ahead and stop sharing.
All meetings must be public. And speaking of which, there's the Sunshine Law, which is also the strongest in the nation. One of the things that I laugh at sometimes is the legislature wrote this, and they are one of the few entities that it does not affect. They can they can do their meetings out in the hall all they want to. You can't. So all meetings, formal or informal, special or regular, of all boards in the state of Arkansas that are supported wholly or in part by public funds will be public meetings. So this means that if you or two or more members discuss business of the board, it could be a meeting after the meeting, it could be a meeting before the meeting, it could be two of you in a coffee shop. As long as you are discussing board policy or business, that is a meeting. It is defined as a meeting. You should have, or if you don't, you can get the little blue book from the Attorney General's office on his website. There are instances there of regulations, court determinations of meetings that were held in secret, and therefore they were charged with something or other. Part of your job is to stay out of that book. So it would be a good thing for you to read to kind of understand. The staff is not part of the board. So the way we operate is the staff contacts you on information. You may reply directly back to the staff. You may not reply all. If you reply all, you have created a meeting. So the staff can help you with this, but the important thing is that all of these things are laid out in that FOI handbook. The important thing is that all discussions of meetings, of events, things that you want to talk about are meetings, and they must be public, they must be recorded, and the press must be called. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Dr. Griffin. Are there any questions this time? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 8, which is an update that will be provided by ADWS Deputy Assistant Director Mrs. Beverly Lovett regarding our USDOL Governance Technical Assistance Training Project. Ms. Lovett.
Thank you, Chairman Anderson. In the interest of time, I'm going to forego my slide presentation and just give some highlights from it. The Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, WIOA, seeks to improve the effectiveness of and streamline the governing structures of the public workforce investment system, empower elected officials and workforce boards, and engage the key stakeholders needed to lead the system to achieve the goals of WIOA. The purpose of the project is the purpose of this Arkansas Governance Training Project is to provide training to our key stakeholders with important aspects of the Arkansas Division of Workforce Services governance system. Dr. Childers, Director Willis, and Chris Jones were very instrumental in promoting and securing the approval of the Arkansas Governance Training Project with the U.S. Department of Labor. The Arkansas Governance Training session will be facilitated by Mayor and Mayor, a consultant services, training, and learning solutions firm who has facilitated training sessions with the U.S. Department of Labor in the past. There are 4 90-minute virtual training sessions scheduled from February 2nd through the 4th that will be presented via the Zoom platform. These sessions will include a general session, and we've invited over 440 members or stakeholders, the Arkansas Workforce Development Board, CEOs with about 245 attendees, and the local workforce development boards with over 250 attendees invited. All attendees are invited to the general session and one of the other specific sections for your group. The sessions will include links to sign in for attendance, some posed questions to keep attendees engaged, as well as an opportunity during the session for attendees to submit questions via Slido links and in the chat box. The sessions will also be recorded for ADWS's future reference and training purposes. We will also be updating the calendar invites today and resending them with the presentation slides for your review prior to the training session. If you have not received a Save the Date calendar invite for the General and Arkansas Workforce Development Board sessions, please email Monica Humphrey or Rebecca Edwards, and we will forward those invites to you. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Thank you very much, Ms. Lovett. We sure appreciate your presentation.
You're welcome.
Ms. Edwards, did you want to cover what we skipped over?
Yes, thank you, Chair Anderson. I'll just make it short and sweet. Every board member should have received a board data form via email from Ms. Monica Humphreys to validate and update your board information. If you have any changes, the documents, the forms can be found on the website under WIOA Workforce Innovations and Opportunity Act. And in addition to, lastly, I wanted to touch on the financial interest statement. That is due the 31st of January, which is Sunday. So if you have not completed your financial interest disclosure, please be sure to go to the Arkansas Secretary of State website and do so. Otherwise, if you want to reach out to us through the Workforce Board email, we can send it to you, the documents. If you need assistance with that, please be sure that for every board and commission that you have, that you do include that on your form. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We agreed that we'd keep a standing agenda item for members to engage in any discussion of topics of interest to them at each meeting. And at this time, are there any board members that would like to bring up anything for the good of the board or anything that's of interest to you? We give you this time. Okay, hearing none. I promised at the beginning of the meeting I'd like to open up the floor for any of the public listening if anyone would like to address the full board. And so now is your opportunity. Board staff, if you could please unmute the public telephone line for comment, I would appreciate it.
Chair Anderson, the line is unmuted.
Okay. Are there any comments from the public? I'll ask again. Okay, hearing none. As you know, our committee meetings have and will continue to convene as needed due to COVID-19 and out of respect for the board members' schedules. Our next full board meeting is scheduled for April 20th, 2021. Hopefully we'll be able to meet in person. I appreciate everybody's indulgence through this delay of this meeting and also through our Zoom meetings. I know they're inconvenient. They're not as useful or not as helpful to everybody as meeting in person, but it's the best we can do during this COVID, and we'll continue to meet electronically until it's safe for us to get back together, and especially with the guidance of Governor Hutchinson. This concludes today's business. Is there any other business to be brought before the board? Okay, hearing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Brian Marsh.
Okay, do I hear a second? Second, Randy Henderson. Okay, great. I'll ask the board now the staff now to conduct a roll call to find out our responses. Thank you. Go, Roy. Rebecca?
Apologize, Mr. Chair. I was having some difficulties there. My apologies to everyone. Mr. Joseph Baxter.
Aye.
Mr. Randy Finnegan. Aye. Mr. Jeff Griffin. Ms. Melissa Hainsworth. Mr. Randy Henderson. Aye. Ms. Abby Houseworth.
Aye.
Mr. Alan Hughes. Ms. Rebecca Ives. Mr. Charles Johnson. Aye. Mr. Johnny Key. Ms. Candace Lawrence.
Aye.
Ms. Holly Little. Dr. Maria Markham. Mr. Brian Marsh. Aye. Dr. Trina Miles.
Aye.
Mr. George Nunnally. Secretary Mike Preston. Dr. Julie Roberson.
Aye.
Mayor James Sanders.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly Sharp.
Aye.
Dr. Cassandra Williams Stokes.
Betsy Bond for Cassandra Williams. Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Robert Thorne. And Dr. Diana Wright.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Roy. The motion to adjourn the meeting of the Arkansas Workforce Investment Board at 12:07 passes, and we're now adjourned. Thanks again for your participation. Look forward to seeing you, and stay safe out there.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Take care.